justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Anyone make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Looks like there's no public comment. Okay.
We do have, there's one participant on the meeting, and that is Tom Ryan. So he's participating virtually.
Okay, okay. And then announcements.
Just for Tom, if you want to add anything at any point, just, do you know how to raise your hand on Zoom?
Can you unmute him?
Yeah, let me.
Looks like he might have frozen.
All right. And then, sorry. Approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the following January 30th, 2024 meeting minutes. I didn't notice anything. I don't know if anybody else came across anything. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearings, none. And then we're to general business. Direction regarding application for comprehensive plan amendment RNF Properties LLC.
I'll be handling the presentation on this item, and I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation. I'll give a presentation, and then, as noted, applicant Tom Ryan is on Zoom, so if he wants to add anything after the presentation. And just give me a minute to share my screen. Okay, the city has received an application to amend the city's 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Specifically, it's a request to re-guide RNF property located both south of Marketplace Boulevard, and a request to create a new land use district and re-guide a portion of their property located north of Marketplace Boulevard. And staff will be seeking Planning Commission feedback regarding the application as it's been submitted. And then your feedback will be forwarded to the City Council. And the City Council, if there's a consensus, they will give us direction on amending the city's comprehensive plan. This map just simply shows the city's comprehensive land use plan map that has been adopted. The comprehensive plan is a document that presents the city's official goals and policies for future development of the community. The plan identifies goals and policies for the physical development in areas of land use, housing, transportation, natural resources, parks, utilities, and economic development. Again, a request has been made to amend the city's comp plan, and this amendment is at the full discretion of the Planning Commission and City Council. So I'll describe in detail the application that has been received. So Mr. Ryan, who's the owner of RNF Properties, who is the applicant, has prepared this concept development plan for his entire property, which shows how his property could be developed or redeveloped. Mr. Ryan believes that the highest and best use of the property that he owns south of Marketplace Boulevard is a combination of single-family residential detached and attached housing. This concept plan shows that the majority of the property south of Marketplace Boulevard being planned for single-family detached housing, approximately 35 acres, and with a small area along France Avenue planned for single-family attached housing, depicted here as townhouses, which comprises about 4.7 acres. The area north of Marketplace Boulevard, Mr. Ryan is seeking some flexibility to develop that area as apartments and/or commercial, and to ultimately develop the property as it's depicted on this preliminary concept plan. A comprehensive plan is required and has been applied for. So as in the staff report that was included in your planning commission packet, I'm going to be describing the area south of Marketplace Boulevard, and then I'll describe the area north of Marketplace Boulevard separately. So the south area is currently guided by the city's comprehensive plan to a combination of commercial and medium-density residential as it's depicted on the slide shown here. So the Elko Speedway area is all zoned commercial, and then the area just east of Whispering Hills is guided to medium-density residential. And that area would have, under the current guidance, it would have to be developed at 5 to 10 units per net acre. It'd be very hard to achieve that with a single-family detached product. It would almost have to be an attached product. The property, the entire property, as is outlined in red, is zoned PUD, and that's the PUD associated with the Elko Speedway. And that allows for, again, the Speedway, the outdoor movie theater, construction office, and some storage, and the temporary seasonal outdoor storage of recreational vehicles. This map depicts the request. The application submitted by NRF Properties include a request to re-guide the southern area, area south of Marketplace Boulevard, primarily to low-density residential, and that small area along France to medium density. You can see that much of the overall property is encumbered by wetlands, which reduces the developable area significantly, and these wetlands also provide a buffer to adjacent land uses to the south and the west. Note that even if the property is re-guided to residential, the current PUD zoning will allow the Speedway, movie theater, construction office, and seasonal storage to continue to exist until the owner seeks to amend the zoning for the property. Staff is seeking a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding the proposed re-guidance of this southern area as depicted on this map graphic. Staff concurs that should this area redevelop and the Elko Speedway cease to exist, the property is south of Marketplace is unlikely to develop for commercial purposes as it's currently guided due to its proximity to County Road 2. Staff has not conducted a detailed review of the concept plan. The concept plan was very high level. There's not enough detail for us to do, a detailed planning review, but the concept seems reasonable as it's laid out. So feedback is being sought. We'll ask for Planning Commission feedback regarding the concept at the end of the presentation, but we'll be seeking your feedback on amending the comp plan to allow to re-guide these areas. The northern RNF Properties also owns a property on the north side of Marketplace Boulevard, and they're asking, have requested to re-guide a portion of the property that they own. This entire area is currently guided by the city's comprehensive plan to commercial. It's currently zoned PUD. It's a different PUD that specifically addresses this commercial area. That the underlying zoning district here is B5, which is a general business district. It just allows for a wide variety of office, retail, services, restaurants, gas stations, kind of quite a few all-encompassing commercial uses. So the application that has been received is to amend the text portion of our comp plan to create a new mixed-use land use category. And then re-guide the area shown here in blue or turquoise to this new mixed-use district. In staff's recent meetings with Mr. Ryan, he expressed the desire to have flexibility to construct this area as multifamily, commercial, or mixed use at his discretion, depending on what the market demanded or if he had any sales or interest from commercial buyers. The city's comprehensive plan does not currently have a land use category that is a mixed-use district that allows this type of flexibility. We do allow some mixed use in the city's downtown New Market area, but this would require a new land use category be created. If supported by the Planning Commission and City Council, the city would, again, amend the comprehensive plan to add the text and amend the map to re-guide this area to mixed use. And then we'd also amend our zoning ordinance to create a new zoning district, a corresponding zoning district. Just getting into a little background on this, the Planning Commission is somewhat familiar with this discussion because in January and April of 2023, Mr. Ryan and Beth have presented this particular plan to the Planning Commission and the City Council. Again, this area is currently zoned for commercial B5, and the concept that was previously presented included a fully standalone multifamily building, the more U-shaped building here that I don't know if you can see where can't see where I'm pointing, but the more U-shaped building was proposed during those discussions to be 100% residential multifamily. This concept also included this L-shaped building, which had been presented as being a mixed-use building with commercial on the main floor and apartments above, and then two single-use standalone buildings that had drive-through components to them. So the meeting minutes, in reviewing the meeting minutes, which I included in your packet, they do reflect support for the concept as it was presented at that time, but particularly the January 11th meeting by the Planning Commission definitely included discussion that there was support because there was a mixed-use component and that there would still be commercial zoning. So that's really probably the major reason that we're bringing it back to the Commission and Council to reaffirm your support if that would be fully multifamily. So again, the concept has been revised. The layout included on the current concept plan is slightly different. And again, this is a concept plan, but we are seeking support for the concept plan. Building configurations have been modified slightly. You can see on the east, the L-shaped building is now just a rectangular building along France Avenue, and the commercial area has been repositioned somewhat. So the current application includes, again, the request to allow full flexibility in the area that's shown in pink for the applicant to do either fully multifamily, fully commercial, or a mixture of the two. Mixed-use districts in cities' comprehensive plans are common. It's not unusual to see mixed-use district. Sometimes they have a stronger emphasis on commercial, sometimes they have a stronger emphasis on residential, but allow some mixing. I just included some of the research that I did here of the communities researched. All of the communities that I researched in their mixed-use district, they required a certain amount of land to remain commercial while allowing a percentage residential. And this table was also included in your report. And as the commission continues to discuss this issue, staff wants to just continue to point out that you consider, or ask that you consider allowing 100% multifamily here. Just consider the loss of commercially guided land in key locations of the city, the loss of pad-ready commercial sites in the city, location and visibility of the subject property adjacent to Arterial and Collector Street, which is good for commercial and good for multifamily residential. The availability of other high-density residential sites in the city, and as requested, the entire area in pink could potentially develop as high density. And staff was seeking a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding this re-guidance as depicted. Just also pointing out that the area in pink here is approximately 3.3 acres, and the area in purple is about 1.5 acres. And just for some quick comparisons, the post office site is 0.8 acres. The Firehouse Grill site is 1.2 acres. So the area shown in purple would be about equivalent to what the Firehouse Grill property comprises. So I just like to, I'm proposing to break the questions down into a couple of different parts to make it maybe a little simpler. So seeking feedback from the Planning Commission first on the southerly area, or it might be appropriate to ask Mr. Ryan if he would like to add anything before we get into discussion.
Sure. Mr. Ryan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Jake will need to unmute.
Hello?
Got it.
Yep.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen, if you give me a second so we can see you better.
Oh.
Okay.
So, first of all, thanks for letting me meet in this way. It would have been really hard for me to be back in Elko New Market at this time. So thanks for allowing this flexibility. And also, Renee has done a great job explaining why we're here. And I think most of you saw this back in 2023. I think we were in front of the Planning Commission twice with pretty much the same concept. Flexibility is important as we start to move forward with this last 4.5 acres of remaining property that I own within Elko Marketplace. There is still some open land that I don't know what the owners are going to do that's north of the post office. And then, of course, Quick Trip has got a parcel of land that's just west of Quick Trip. We did a market study that we shared with you the last time we were here. And there was a clear and overwhelming need for apartment or that type of housing over a year ago. I assume that still exists for the most part. So our plan right now would be would try to build this apartment building, 40 to 50 units. I'm not sure, really preliminary stages. But we learned the hard way last year and got the cart in front of the horse, because you guys approved a 13-lot subdivision. And then we were stopped because we didn't have the correct guidance for that property. And so what we're trying to do is get this stuff in the right order and also do this planning well ahead of any future change in the land use. I'm talking about the Speedway. So And that being said, I guess I would just stand for any questions, if there are any, from here on out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I'll go ahead and share my screen again and just zero in on the questions.
I mean, not for Tom.
Yeah, I don't have any questions for Tom.
Okay. Question number one for the Planning Commission. Does the Planning Commission support the re-guidance of the property located south of Marketplace Boulevard to a combination of low and medium density residential and in the locations as depicted on this map?
You're talking like the green area, right?
The area that's outlined in red.
Oh, the whole thing, got it.
And this is the,
Can you go
Yeah.
back to the first couple of slides where it has everything kind of laid out?
Mhm.
There we go. I mean, I totally get what is being proposed, and I understand it, and for the most part, I probably support it. And I'll continue to say that we're lacking a lot of commercial businesses, and I know that that probably doesn't have to deal with this property, so to speak, but, I mean, at some point, we gotta start developing commercial so people aren't continuing to drive north to the cities for work. And I'm just, the more and more we build residential and high density or low density, I mean, we gotta start considering whether that's subsidized businesses to intrigue them to move here, but this is something that we need to look towards.
I agree with you, for sure. So we're only talking about the lower half, right?
Yeah, for the first question, yeah, if we can, yeah, the part kind of south of Marketplace, or everything that's outlined. I appreciate your comments, Casey, that's helpful.
So, and we're just talking about the whole, everything outlined in red, right? Not just that development,
I'm taking, yeah, the three pieces outlined in red, yeah.
okay? And not just, yeah, not just the development itself. So we're just looking at the whole thing, right?
Outlined in red, yep.
I just want to make
Yep,
sure.
yep.
Okay.
And if you'd rather have me have the concept plan back up. But the concept plan could change. What we're really adopting is the land use, the designated land use that would guide future development.
Do we wanna tackle this in 3 different sections?
Oh, we could? So,
If we start with the most southern part of
yes,
it?
let's do
I
that.
mean, I totally think that is, totally makes sense. 100%.
Okay. So the area that's currently guided, medium-density residential, there's really very little, generally speaking, developable because of wetlands and wetland setbacks
Right.
and getting the road through there. It would be, I think what we learned from Tom's last development is that it would be near impossible to, with a detached product, to achieve the densities for medium density. So re-guiding it to low density,
Yes.
you're in support of.
I agree, that makes sense, yes.
Okay?
Do we wanna cover the medium density residential from commercial, the little section?
The little one on the right?
Yeah. I'm assuming that's like the townhome area?
That's the townhome area that has been laid out.
Okay.
So that would need to meet 5 to 10 units per net acre.
I go back and forth in this in my brain, and maybe it's just, I'm trying to imagine it, you know, from France and driving into a neighborhood, but passing townhouses and all of that and what it would look like. And I understand probably the reason for it being next to France is for traffic purposes, I would assume. Because that's where my brain is just kind of struggling with how the layout would look. And I understand probably more houses, more money.
back up to this one, just to give
Yeah.
you a visual on the current concept.
I remember at our last meeting, we kind of talked about, and I think Brad might have brought it up too, I don't recall correctly, that, like, why aren't the townhouses located more closer to, like, that other area, the north side that we're gonna
Yeah, I mean,
talk about?
you're saying, yeah, it's like the northern.
So it's like more of a flow of how all the houses together and the townhouses, and then you got the apartments or commercial
Right.
up there.
I mean, that'd flow better.
So your question, or you're just throwing out adjacent to Marketplace Boulevard, if that should be guided to medium density either as well, or if it should be flipped.
Flipped.
Okay. Noted. The France Avenue, in the city's transportation plan, France Avenue up until about the entrance point shown there is designated as a collector street. A major collector, and then it goes off into a minor collector. I don't know if, Tom, you have any, Mr. Ryan, if you have any feedback regarding why you chose to place the medium density in this location as opposed to closer to Marketplace?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't think there's really any magic to what we did there. Realistically, we're trying to get some kind of density on the property, not really for financial reasons. Myself, I think it'd be just as easy to make it all single family. The lake, we call Lake Elko, is quite an amenity. And so I don't, and again, this is a really, concept could be changed. We can't criticize this sketch too much here because there has been nowhere near the right amount of effort or expense to designing a proper layout here. So I think, Renee, we were trying to get some density is all we're trying to do. Not for our benefit, but for Met Council benefit. Is that still something they'll be looking at in approving this, Renee?
Well, the Met Council does have to approve it ultimately if the city chooses to amend its plan, consistent with what you've requested, the Met Council does also need to approve it. But in our meetings with them, they'll bless what we approve. They're always trying to
Yeah.
achieve density. And then any development that takes place within it just has to comply with our whatever density we've adopted for those
Yeah.
specific areas.
So it's a big area. It might be irresponsible to plat it all single family. I do feel that's the most marketable, is all single family. But so we're trying to get some kind of diversity in the housing types in this area. So that's simply where we put the townhomes. Renee, can that be moved later on as we go through, as we go down the road a ways?
It would require another comprehensive plan amendment.
No, that just doesn't seem right to me, Renee. But,
But Tom,
I mean,
I agree with you.
I mean, it's, okay. So, I don't really care what we do to this. They can be townhouses if people want to move them around. I don't care. Can we agree that townhouses belong in this piece of property, or do we want to keep it all single family?
I mean, I would personally like single family, but
Okay,
that's just me.
so do we want to make a recommendation that they're all single family?
I understand the density piece of it as well. This is a tough piece of land to develop. It's limited. I think single-family makes more sense, just so it's not so choppy with townhouses and, and then houses all around it. It's just my 2 cents. But I do respect getting more density.
It's really what your recommendation is. If you don't think medium density is a good idea in that location, that's fine. If your recommendation is all low density, that's fine too.
I think for ease, single-family would be
I think it'd be a lot more marketable.
easier.
I think it'd be a lot easier for Tom, if it was single family, to get residents there as well. I mean, just thinking about it from a guy that lives in a townhome, and I respect townhomes, they have a meaning. But I don't know if I would wanna buy a single family home in that development, being next to a bunch of townhomes. And I'd definitely be in that market of, hey, Tom, I wanna be one of the first people to move over there, So, but I mean, I get, as human beings, we tend to get over things.
Okay.
Do you have an opinion,
So-
Joe, on
Personally, I think the single family makes the more sense just for uniformity, but again, like they said, the density is important, but
We
just as
have a
far
lot of,
as.
we have the land just to the east of there that could be used for that as well,
Exactly.
so.
We do.
I mean, I think we're all saying the same thing. I think we should keep it
Single-family?
single family.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be our recommendation
Yes.
Yep.
for that part, okay?
And I think that kind of sums
So
up
that's
the big
that
area.
first piece, right?
that's, and you support the single family on the other area that's currently the track.
Yes.
Tom, before we proceed into talking north of Marketplace Boulevard, do you have anything else you want to add regarding the medium density piece?
No, I don't, Renee.
Okay. Okay, so the next questions are, does the planning commission support the creation of a mixed-use land use designation within the city's comp plan? And the re-guidance of this property shown in turquoise?
Yeah.
I do support
Generally
the idea of mixed use, because we currently don't have that, right?
Correct.
I think that's a good idea to allow some more flexibility, for
Okay.
sure.
And then,
If you go back to the slide with the chart of the other cities, this one, thank you. And you said some of them have restrictions on or limitations on how much. Can you explain that again?
You can see in the right column, the max, or the minimum share of residential,
maximum share.
maximum
Yeah.
share allowed.
Some are
It's
minimum, some are
basically-
max, yep.
It's a minimum, commercial is the inverse, so.
Is that something,
That's something you could consider.
okay. So then, it'd be maximum 50% commercial, right? Half or 70/30.
Yeah, and we would-
However we want to,
Right, so we would just be,
Recommend.
if that would be the case, we'd just be looking at that ground floor. If you had a mixed-use building that was commercial on the main floor, that would be counted as commercial.
right.
And if you had a multifamily building that was multifamily only, that would be counted as residential.
Part of, okay. What are your thoughts?
If I understood the presentation correctly, I think he would have the option of either one
That-
of those apartments would be,
That was the request as it was submitted to the city, that, and I would request that Tom maybe word it as he did in our staff meetings. He would like the flexibility to do fully residential in these two buildings, or
100% support
maybe a
that.
combination at his discretion, depending on market conditions at the time.
Sure. sure.
I would 100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I would 100% support that, because if he wants to make it all multifamily, then that's, probably makes a lot of sense, especially if you have those other two buildings that could be some type of
Yeah, I get that.
realtor.
I think of, it's on this slide, actually, the loss of pad-ready commercial sites. That's one thing that's clicking in my head. And the location, I guess, for commercial, but yeah,
I'm a little
I-
fuzzy. Now, we're only talking the pink area, not the pink and the blue. So the blue would be commercial regardless. Okay.
okay.
And then, I know this is not pertaining to this, but the property just to the north, that is commercial.
Commercial.
Okay.
As Tom mentioned, there is roughly an acre, I think, to the west of the existing Quick Trip site that they own, that they didn't develop. And then there's one additional site on that corner.
Okay. I think the mixed use makes sense.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Other comments, good?
Okay, I'm going to, okay, so if you support the mixed use and the guidance of the property, does the planning commission support flexibility to allow high-density commercial or mixed-use development at the discretion of the property owner without setting parameters of,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's a yes from Joe, a yes from
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa, who was not able to make it tonight, she sent an email in on this comment. I'll read her comments into the record when we're done here. So yeah, the final question was, does the planning commission recommend a minimum percentage of residential versus commercial? And so what I heard from you is no, there's no.
I could go either way, but
Yeah, I mean, I just
I'm
think.
okay without it, I'm okay with it.
The last thing I wanna see is, square footage not being used because the commercial does not catch on, I guess.
Okay. I'm gonna read Melissa's notes. Melissa states, I support re-guidance of the property south of Marketplace Boulevard to allow for low and medium density residential. I appreciate the strategic, thoughtful future planning for the property. And secondly, I support the creation of a mixed-use land use category. From a planning standpoint, I support plans for a more walkable community. Having mixed-use land use category that can have both residential and commercial retail components is desirable to many, and I do not support a combination. I'd support a combination of residential and commercial, but I'm not sure as to what the right percentage of each is.
Right, and that's kind of where my question was. I wouldn't know what the right percentage is either, if we went that route. But I could take it or leave it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about in the future, for future developments, if that percentage would be necessary or needed. So we don't lose our commercial. That's just where my brain's kind of going.
Yeah, it really seems like it's all over the board.
I know.
In different communities, so.
I know. I mean, can we give that caveat to the city council of, we're for the mixed use, we're unsure if we should set parameters on it or not. I don't know.
Ken?
And see what their thoughts are, or if they have any concerns about the commercial.
We can do that, and we can express that was maybe a split. I mean, at this point, it's a 2 to 2.
Yeah.
That 2 fully support complete flexibility and 2 are on the fence.
Yeah. Because I guess I personally wouldn't know, like, should it be 40% or 60% or and what that would actually look like.
Sure. So I think that, yeah, again, this last slide is just, this is the city's the comprehensive plan is a city document outlining the city's goals and policies. And amendments to this plan are at the full discretion of the Planning Commission, City Council. So I think that we have what we need. I don't know
Okay.
if we need to put it in the form of a motion, or do you think that we can? I don't think so. Okay. So for the minutes, which will be forwarded to the City Council at their next meeting, and this will be on their agenda
Okay.
for consideration at their next meeting,
When is their next meeting?
the 14th,
Okay,
14th of March.
okay.
I think I heard loud and clear what your recommendation was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We can go on to,
Tom, do you have any additional questions?
No, I think everything, we talked through everything fairly well.
Okay. The city council meeting on the 14th, I don't have the exact time. It'll either be 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And that would be available for virtual participation as well if you are out of town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Ryan. Okay, general business, detached accessory building research.
All right, I got a presentation here for you. Let me share my screen. Okay. A little background and history. So semi-recently, we had a resident inquiry. The resident lives in Old Elko, so it's actually an R2, small lot district. Most of those homes do not have an attached garage. So his property has an existing detached garage, and he was wanting to build a new detached accessory structure for extra storage. Unfortunately, he was unable to, as city code does not allow the resident to construct a new detached accessory structure, as they're limited to 1 per property, according to city code, as shown there, except by conditional use permit. So the resident inquiry, just wait, sorry, this allows, this basically, he brought up the fact that this allows those with attached garages the ability to have at least 250 to 1,000 more square footage of storage than those with detached garages, which in his mind is unfair. So here's our city code, which details that a little further. If we split it over, if you have an acre or under, you can build a 250 square foot detached accessory structure with no conditional use permit. You can go up to 1,000 square feet with a conditional use permit. Over an acre, it's 1,000 without, and then 1,500 square feet with a conditional use permit. Just a little background information there. Also, some past complaints and comments staff have received over the years complaining that the city standards are too strict regarding allowable detached accessory structure sizes. The current standards are shown here below. Again, we just went over those. Staff did research of other cities' codes. The research was focused on the size and number of structures, as well as the specific standards relating to structures within business or industrial zones. The research did not take into consideration the conditional use permits, as those may be denied for many different factors. It's also meant to give the commission and staff a guideline for providing further feedback and recommendations on potential ordinance amendments. So here, this is just other cities, what they allow for number of structures and max square footage. As you can see, most cities do allow for multiple structures, either total square footage limit between all the structures, or saying one's allowed, but you can have two if you have a detached garage. It's very common, and we are seeing that we're pretty small compared to other cities without a conditional use permit. We're at 250 square feet. The only one smaller than that would be Burnsville, 225 square feet, and that's only if you have an attached garage. If you don't have an attached garage, you can go to 1,000 in Burnsville, so we're on the small side there. And the research on commercial and industrial district showed that we're more or less in line with other cities. In our commercial districts, most cities allow accessory structures not greater than 30% of the principal structure footprint. In industrial, in our B6 zone, which we don't really use, and then also in our industrial zone, I would say we're more gracious towards accessory structures. They can go up to 50% of the gross floor space. So 50% of an industrial building, that's a pretty big accessory structure they'd be able to build. So staff's recommendation might be to change the 50% to 30, to keep it more consistent, what other cities allow. A lot of cities do not allow them within their industrial districts at all, and I think the thinking is that the initial building can incorporate that storage, so they don't have to build a garage. So staff are recommending the planning commission to consider amendments to the city's accessory structure ordinance due to the following factors: resident inquiries, past complaints and comments received, increasing size standards in other cities, and regular review and updating of the city zoning ordinance. If changes are recommended, staff will draft an ordinance amendment for further discussion at an upcoming meeting. I can flip back to the standards if you want to look through any of them closer, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to make some changes. I'm not sure how others are feeling about that. I mean, looking at this table, when I first reviewed it, I was like, wow, we're way different, considerably. I was surprised.
I mean, a standard single garage door is 8 foot 9 inches. Then you gotta allow for some side room, so that's gonna give you at least a minimum of a 13-foot width. If you wanna put an 18-foot trailer in there, you're gonna have to be well over 24 feet long
yeah.
for like a boat. So we definitely gotta do something different.
I think I was shocked when I started working here that it was 250 square feet. I thought it was really low. The only thing that I could come up with was that the city was specifically trying to prohibit detached garages, or, you know, and
I think
at the
so.
time, and maybe only allow like a garden shed. That was my thinking. I don't have any history on it, beyond that, or how it got to be 250 square feet. So, yeah, 250 square feet is going to be more like a garden shed, or maybe a little bit bigger than a garden shed, but
But not much. So is the city looking for like recommendations on size or what to do with?
Yeah, basically just the highlighted there, what our current standards are, if you recommend changing the, the first column, the second column, or both,
Sure.
that'd be helpful. And obviously, if you want to increase or hopefully not decrease.
So,
100 feet.
with, just thinking, so with setbacks and everything, so if we did like total square footage, right?
Yep.
And they'd have to meet within those setbacks,
Yep.
right? No
Yeah.
matter what,
Setbacks is, guaranteed.
right? Because I'm seeing like Lakeville, right? That one just sticks out to my head here. 1+1 attached/detached garage. And then it's determined by setbacks if that property allows that structure.
So yeah, if you have a big enough lot, you can have a bigger garage, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense.
I mean, I don't know what others are thinking. Me and my brain doesn't really do square footage and how big it is. And if a property allows a bigger one, why wouldn't you allow the bigger one based on, if it meets the setbacks?
Yeah.
What are other
Some
people's thoughts,
things
I guess?
are, and I'm just throwing, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, I'm just throwing out some other things for consideration that, you know, in a residential neighborhood, if everybody had a 1,000 square foot garage, would there be probabilities that people would try to run home extended businesses out of their garages? Or do repair work, that's not allowed by our code?
Right.
That may have been another reason for setting a low limit. You know, there are probably covenants in some of our existing neighborhoods, I'm guessing, like in the Glenboro area, Boulder Heights or Boulder Point. Their covenants might not allow larger detached garages.
Sure.
Actually, Boulder Point doesn't allow any
They don't allow any.
accessory structures.
Okay.
I don't know, what are
And
your guys'
our rear setback, for detached accessory structures, the rear setback is 10 feet and the side setback is 10 feet. So you can put them in your backyard, except outside of any easements. That would be greater than that. Also, every property, you can only have one driveway. You're only allowed one curb cut into
Yes.
every property, so you couldn't, you know, have a separate driveway for
Or-
another garage,
Yeah.
per se. You have to access it through your existing yard or existing curb cut.
Another garage door in the back of your garage, you can drive through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, code actually requires detached garages have a driveway, I believe.
I don't think so.
I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, well, maybe it can be part of the research if we bring it back.
talking about detached garages,
Yeah, not a
not a,
shed.
Oh, you mean a driveway to it?
Yeah.
Not a separate curb cut?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree that the code only allows one curb cut?
Yep.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So what are we thinking for total number of structures allowed? We want to base it off of kind of another city where it depends if they have a attached garage or detached garage in the first place?
You think like Jordan's would be a good one to go off of there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole, just for kind of a reference, this
Yeah.
room is about 840 square feet.
Okay.
Perfect, that's what my next question was gonna be.
And
I mean, I'm just on Menards' website, and I mean, there's a big range. I mean, there's like 12 to 20 feet for width, 16 by 24, but
right. And then 840, obviously, square feet would have to meet still within those setbacks. So if they can do it, they can do it. If
Agreed.
not, then they can't. But they could maximize their
Yeah.
space if they. Okay.
If I had a garage this big, I'd buy some cows.
Cottage Highlands?
Okay, so max square foot, we're thinking bigger. Are we thinking bigger than anything that's on the list, or does it kind of fall in line with other cities?
1,000 square feet seems like a lot, doesn't it?
It seems pretty big.
Especially, yeah, because you already have an attached garage. In most cases,
The
it's
total
1,000.
of the structures, though, in that column on the right.
Yeah.
Of the two.
So-
But it doesn't, if you have an attached garage, that doesn't, that's not included.
Okay.
Attached garages, you can go up to a maximum of 1,000 square feet. So that's an oversized 3-car.
So if you, okay, now I'm confused. So if you have an attached garage and you wanted to do an additional one, right? You could go up to 840 square feet or not? Because you would already be over it if you have that.
Attached garage is taken out of the equation. They
Okay.
don't count.
Okay.
Depends
We're
on-
only talking about detached accessory structures.
Okay.
Right, but
Okay.
like in Jordan, you could do an 840 square foot garage, but in some of them, it's the total square footage of all of like Lonsdale,
You could have 3 buildings that equal 800 square feet
Yeah.
combined.
And none of these are, none of these address the attached garage. This is in addition to the attached garage.
Okay.
So it sounds like not higher than 1,000. But we can bring back some kind of examples that show it on a map or something so you can get a
Yeah,
better
would that
idea of.
help if
I
we
think-
mapped
I-
out some
I
square footages
think
on some
so.
surveys?
I
Yeah.
want to, be very mindful of this, because I know this is very important for people.
I think so too. I don't think we need to rush this. We can take multiple
Yeah.
meetings
Okay.
to review this,
Okay.
but I think that's a great idea to take some surveys and superimpose.
What does it look like with detached garages and attached
Yeah.
garages, and what,
And we'll use examples in both the older areas of town
Yeah.
that have small lots and then a newer area
that'd be
of town.
great.
If we can find surveys for those ones.
That would be helpful. I want to be, like I said, very mindful with this, because I know this is very important to a lot of folks here, so. I think once this starts, this might start like a whirlwind if it's,
how big a potential, how many really homes don't have attached garages now?
Pretty much just an old Elko.
Maybe a couple in Old New Market,
Yeah, downtown.
not too many.
I mean, ultimately, we're gonna be limited to what you can put in your backyard, so,
right, yes, but,
for a lot of people.
right.
Okay.
But again, I just really want to be mindful of it, because I know people have stuff, so.
Since I've started, that's probably been one of the most requested things people call about is increasing their garage basically to fit, a new camper or something. Everything's getting longer. So,
Everything's bigger.
yep.
Yeah.
Trucks even don't fit in some garages here.
And it's also,
Where I was going with I was like, I know I'm tight, that's 21 feet.
yeah. And it's probably become more of an issue or more of a question because we're enforcing the recreational vehicles being
Yep.
stored on
Outside or out of season.
out of season, not in your driveway.
Yep. So that'll help with that and give people some more storage. So our commercial and industrial, we do allow them currently. Do we want to continue to allow them in commercial and industrial zones or one or the other? And then if so, do we want to change the percentage requirements that we already have?
I was really surprised about the industrial one. Considering I'm thinking of like a big, massive building.
Yep.
And why do they need this big additional?
Toxic or flammable materials perhaps? to
Yeah.
be set by-
Maybe.
I think they need it.
This was also created in 2006 when really the only industry in town, I mean, we still don't have any industry in town. It's the township. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know if they were imagining, Ryan Properties when they were creating this.
Commercial, I could,
Maybe something like,
I mean, I'd say
commercial, I think seems right in line, maybe. What do others think?
Yeah, and I'll stress that B6 one isn't very important because we don't utilize our
Right.
B6 zoning district.
the B6 is,
less than 30.
it's like borderline industrial. It's a business park district.
Which I think that would make more sense
Yeah.
than an industrial to
That's-
have
yeah.
that space for things.
I'm opposite. I think the industrial should have more space, because otherwise you're gonna get really irritated when people start putting stuff outside that they shouldn't.
Okay.
Go drive around Lakeville and Burnsville.
Okay. No, I'm open
just
to,
saying.
I'm open to whatever. I mean, do you think it's fine? I don't know.
I think it's fine.
Like, leave it for now, or maybe get pictures? I don't know.
We can bring back some pictures from other communities. Roughly, that would be close to, a 50% structure on a site like that. So
Okay.
we'll try to get some images to bring back. So it sounds like those are the 3 main questions I had. If you guys had anything else you'd like to address with the ordinance or have staff look at further.
No, I'm glad it's brought up, so,
Okay.
thanks,
Yeah, thank you. We'll bring back something to the next meeting.
thanks. All right, and then we're on to miscellaneous. Cannabis regulation update.
Included in the packet was a memorandum from the city attorney from Campbell Knutson. Campbell Knutson represents many cities, so this was just their standard that they sent out to all the cities. Kind of the key points at this time was they believe no action is currently necessary under the legislation. Licenses wouldn't be available until early 2025. I think there might be some changes to that. I think they might be thinking there might be some licenses available earlier now. So I think this is just going to be, will be continued to be updated on this, especially now that we're in the legislative session. Yesterday, so also the legislature, or the Office of Cannabis Management, was to draft model ordinances for cities to consider for adoption, and I think they are running behind schedule on that. So we were advised yesterday that the League of Minnesota Cities is going to be drafting model ordinances on behalf of the cities. They're seeking input from city planning departments at this time.
Okay.
Brandon is kind of the key staff person at the city is going to be handling this. So do you have anything to add? You probably know more about it than I do.
I would just add that it's all really fluid, and I'd say nobody knows, especially the Office of Cannabis Management, when anything is going to get released yet. So there are talks of the licensing being moved to middle of 2024 rather than 2025. My opinion is that that probably wouldn't happen, but they're very clear on their DEI, so diversity, inclusion people. So I think that's a big key as to how this goes and to when those people want to start applying and how the like tiers go based on that. But otherwise, they said model ordinances by the latest middle of summer. So I think that's something we can count on at least, and that's the big next step for us at least.
Okay. Thanks. And then comprehensive plan overview, chapter 5, demographics.
Yeah, that's me too. Now we're getting to the good stuff. So as you guys know, Terry wants Jake and I to share one chapter at a time per meeting. Don't need any action or recommendations, just educational, obviously. All right, so today we're on chapter 5, which is demographics. I'm trying to see if I can do presenter view. Perfect. All right, cool. All right, so why do we care about demographics here in our positions? It's because in order to analyze future housing, parks, and recreation, and pretty much everything else, it's important to, to review historical trends that have occurred and develop realistic assumptions as to how our population is going to form and the future growth of the community. So demographic information provides a base which we will use to identify issues in planning policies, and with the help of a solid informational base, decision makers like yourselves can evaluate and guide us more properly. So a disclaimer to this presentation is that the 2040 Comprehensive Plan was created in the late 2010s. So that being said, there'd yet to be a 2020 census. So some of the numbers within these graphs are out of date, but I mean, this is what we thought at the time. Obviously, COVID threw a big wrench into everything, including demographic trends. So I just want to throw that out there. So as you can see on here, the 2000s showed a huge boom in population for the city. This was, of course, due to the housing boom that occurred during before the bubble burst in 2008. But a 400% increase is extreme growth, even during this economic booming period, which was occurring nationwide. The most recent population estimates sent out in July of 2022 estimate our population to be at 5,024. This slide represents the age of population. So the city had a median age of 30.9 in 2000 compared to median age of 30.4 in 2010, so we're getting a little bit younger. And that's much younger than the average. Minnesota average and United States are both 37, so we're 6 or 7 years below the average. Yeah, and rising. This table summarizes the race and ethnicity of Elko New Market's population in 2010 and 2015. As shown, most residents were white and not Hispanic or Latino. From 2010 to 2015, we became slightly less diverse, but I think it's pretty safe to say since 2015, the last 9 years, we've probably become slightly more diverse, even if we're still very white. Household income. So the table provides a summary of Elko New Market's 2010 household income, as well as a comparison of household income to Scott County for the same year. Per the 2010 census, the greatest percentage of households in Elko New Market, 37%, had household incomes between $100,000 and $149,999. Yeah, overall, this chart displays that we're a pretty well-to-do community. This table displays the median household income for the city of Elko New Market for 2010, 2014, and 2015, as well as a comparison to Scott County. As shown, the median household income in the city in 2015 was $105,000 with some change, and this income figure was notably higher than the median income for Scott County at almost $88,000. The higher median incomes in Elko New Market compared to Scott County can likely be attributed to the age of the city's population. Most of Elko New Market's population consists of adults and older adults, ages 35 to 50, so most adults reach their peak earning years between the ages of 45 and 54. Employment. So this table displays projected employment growth in Elko New Market and how it relates to Scott County. The Met Council overestimated our employment growth, largely due to COVID, like I said, but I thought it was still worth presenting as it is part of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan. The bottom table, the bigger one on this slide, displays occupations of the city's workforce as provided by the U.S. Census. The table indicates that education, professional, and retail jobs were the most predominant occupations for the city's residents. And the 2015 estimates are essentially the same. They include education, manufacturing, and retail jobs. So education and schools. Elko New Market is unique in that it has 2 school districts located within the city limits, Lakeville Public Schools and New Prague Public Schools. Areas of the city, generally east of County Road 91, lie within the Lakeville School District, while areas west of County Road 91 lie within the New Prague School District. The table, This table displays educational levels attained by Elko New Market residents aged 25 and over. According to the 2015 Census Bureau estimates, over 99% of our residents over the age of 25 completed high school, and just about half percentage obtained a post-secondary degree. That was chapter 5.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
I think it'll be exciting to update that chapter with the next plan. I think demographics are so interesting.
Right, aren't they? I was like reading them, like,
Yeah.
community development updates.
I have an update. I don't believe we shared this at the last meeting, but Orion Companies, who applied for the Park I-35 plat and were granted preliminary plat approval in April of 2023. Preliminary plat approvals are good for 1 year, and if they don't file final plat within 1 year, they expire. They have requested from the city council an extension to that approval, so that will be on the next city council agenda, extending their preliminary plat approval. And also, they had an early grading permit, which allowed them to do grading on site or within the plat prior to final plat approval. And they've requested an extension of that grading permit. Any other questions about Park I-35 or the Niagara project? Still working towards our amended water appropriations permit before that can move forward fully.
Has Niagara been pull towards a delay or not really?
No, moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah, we already meet with them probably every 2 weeks and
Yep.
tracking, planning forward. And then the only other update is, Rich can probably update better, but we have a bid opening coming up next week on some,
Bid opening,
2 bid openings on some street projects.
Monday at noon and at 12:30
Oh,
So,
for the reconstruction project of the neighborhood south of the double wide
okay.
and for the edge mill and overlay of about 6 miles, just under 6 miles of streets in the Elko New Market area.
Okay, nice.
be a big year for us,
Yeah.
for Rich.
Yeah, plus development work out at the freeway, plus
Yep.
Boulder Heights possibly, at least a couple smaller, so, yeah.
Good.
Be a lot of backhoes running around.
It needs to get done.
Yeah.
Real quick update, the city changed its IT services provider, so in case your laptops have problems, there's some software on there that lets them access it remotely. So we'll need, if you don't need your laptops in the next couple of days, we'll ask if you can leave them here tonight, just with a scrap piece of paper, write your password on there so we can get in there and uninstall the old software and reinstall, or install the new software.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else? No?
Not by me.
Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor to adjourn the meeting at 8:14 PM?